An acoustic, electric, or bass guitar can be a substantial investment in your life, even if it is an affordable model. It's important that you take care of that instrument. Today, I'm going to show you some great accessories and tell you the top tips for taking care of your guitar. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to our channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos. If you'd like to support the channel, feel free to visit our Teespring store linked below for our custom designed t-shirts. So today, I want to tell you about how to take care of your guitar. Now, there are a lot of things we could actually get into on this video that I think the average guitar player is probably reluctant to get into, but I'll mention them as we go through it. I'm talking about things like setting up your instrument, dealing with frets, cleaning the fretboard with steel wool. There's some substantial things that can come into taking care of the guitar over time, and we'll talk a little bit about them. But the rest of the stuff I'm going to show you today, really anybody can do. So let's get into it. I'm going to first talk about this in kind of three different categories, and the first one I want to talk to you about is temperature and humidity, okay? Now the first thing I have right here in my hot little hand is a hygrometer. Now a hygrometer is basically a device that will tell you relative humidity and also temperature, okay? It will keep track of that, and the best ones will kind of keep track and remember the minimum and the maximum temperature and humidity that your guitar saw. It's important if you have your instruments at home, particularly if they are out of the case, hung on the wall or anything, that you have one hung on the wall with your instrument or set up nearby. Don't rely on maybe a thermostat in your hallway to tell you what the humidity is in your guitar room. That's not really that reliable. And also don't rely on analog hygrometers. They are notoriously unreliable. Go buy yourself a digital hygrometer. It is a cheap investment. It's cheap insurance for the investment that you made in your guitar. Now there's a number of them out there. This is an Exatech that we happen to stock. It was used to be branded Taylor guitars. It's not anymore, but it is a great product. Now you can go to Walmart, you can order one online, but a hygrometer will pay you back in spades. The last thing that you want to do is not buy something simple like this and instead rely on the cracked top of an acoustic guitar or sharp frets on an electric guitar to tell you that your humidity is low. Now, if you know that your humidity is low or if your humidity is high, there are things to do to take care of that. There's a number of products on the market specifically to deal with the humidity needs of an acoustic guitar or an instrument in general. Now, one of the oldest ones is probably this. This is the Dampit. And the Dampit, I've seen probably 30 years or more. You can get it either as this. There's also a Martin Guitars branded version. But it's basically this long kind of snake-looking thing. It's a long, flexible sponge is all it is. And the idea here is to help maintain the instrument's humidity inside the body cavity of an acoustic guitar. You do this by soaking this in water, wringing out the excess, wiping it off. You don't want any water dripping. You don't want it wet or anything like that. And then you hang it on the strings. There's also a cover that will keep it in the case, inside the guitar, sealed within the guitar body if you happen to be in a very dry climate. Now that is for, again, introducing humidity to the guitar and the case. Another one that's a bit more substantial is from Oasis. Now the Oasis humidifier comes in a few different varieties. So if you live in an extremely dry climate, very arid, desert, high mountain area, then you probably want to look at this versus any of the other humidity products that we're looking at. This has silica crystals in it that expand, and you actually fill it with water, seal it up. It has a permeable body, it hangs in the guitar, and this will release a lot more moisture into your guitar and case than the Dampit will. And it's very, very important. Finally, we'll talk about the Humidipack, and there's a bunch of other ones out there, but the Humidipack is a two-way humidification system that's made with Planet Waves, D'Addario, and Bondea, I believe is the name of the company, that also makes these for like cigar humidifiers and whatnot. But they are pre-filled packets that have moisture in them, silica crystals and other things. They're permeable and they're two-way. So it will release a certain amount of moisture in order to try to reach a kind of a set area where it's happy. I'm kind of forgetting the word, but you know what I'm talking about. It will also absorb moisture if you are in a very humid climate. Now, we're in San Antonio, Texas. It tends to be humid here. And so for most of our customers who shop in store, this is often what I recommend because it's humid, but we run air conditioning, we run heat. The inside of homes can get dry. Having something like this will, for the most part, take a lot of the guesswork out of it. Now, you have no guesswork at all if you have a hygrometer, but nevertheless, these are great because they go both ways. Now, if you live in an extremely humid environment, I'm talking to people that live like in the upper Pacific Northwest, if you live like in Hawaii, if you live, I had family that lived in Hawaii once, and it's like, if you live in an area where you go to take a book off your shelf and it falls apart in your hands because it's just degraded from moisture and fungus and stuff, then none of these things that I showed you will be very helpful. But there are products on the market that will actually help pull the moisture out of your guitar and your guitar case. Now, it should be said that part of taking care of your guitar is to keep it in a guitar case, keep it hung up, keep it out of the way of things. But one of the things about guitar cases you should know is they require humidity and moisture too. So if you ever take your guitar out, leave your guitar case open, you play your guitar, you have all these humidity things in there, and then you put it back in and you take it out the next day, and the guitar seems to have moved around and didn't keep its humidity, it's kind of dried out a bit. Let me tell you why. That guitar case, while it was open, was releasing humidity out into the atmosphere of whatever room you were in or outside. When you put that guitar back in that guitar case is actually going to suck moisture out of the guitar and the humidifier in order to reach its equilibrium. That's the word I was looking for before your guitar is able to get the moisture it needs. So one of the things about the Humidipack that's interesting is they calculated the amount needed for an acoustic guitar in a case for both the case and the guitar. So keep those things in mind. It'll keep your instrument happy. It's bad if a guitar dries out. The top will crack, the back will crack, braces can come loose. It's not a pretty picture and it's expensive to repair. It's also very bad if it gets too much humidity. It'll swell up, braces will come undone, back and sides can pop apart. I've seen it too often in our store when people bring guitars in and the backs and sides are separated and there's braces loose because it's 90% humidity in the summer of San Antonio, Texas, and they just had their guitar out absorbing it all. So keep these things in mind. Temperature humidity is also important, by the way, for an electric guitar. You might think it's a solid body, but things will move, particularly the neck. I usually try to keep some humidification in all of my electric guitar cases because otherwise the neck will move around more. It otherwise stays very stable with the frets being where they are. It won't dry out. You won't get sharp fret ends and all of that stuff if you take care of the humidity concerns. Now, if you're an old timer and you're watching this, you go, I never had that issue. My guitar's fine. Over time, guitars do tend to stabilize, and they are less kind of needy. And that's for all guitar brands that are out there, both solid body, hollow body, semi-hollow body, acoustic guitars, bass guitars, all of that stuff. Over time, they will kind of calm themselves down, but when they're new, they still kind of want to be a tree. So take these words to heart. Now, the other thing that we're going to talk about in humidification is this. This is a Humiditrack from D'Addario, and I want to talk about this on another product that I don't have yet. We looked at the hygrometer, which I would recommend keeping in your case or in your room, or both. They're pretty cheap. This is actually a really cool thing because if you own multiple guitars, you can purchase this, keep it in your case, and it will interact with an app on your phone. It'll tell you what is going on in the case without you having to open it. And if you have a collection of guitars, this is extremely handy. Now, the other product that I would want to talk about in relation to this is Taylor Sense. That's a new product coming out from Taylor. It's long been in the works. It only works on Taylor guitars with an ES2, ES1, EST pickup system because it replaces the battery box. But that does the same thing this does and a bit more. It will monitor temperature, it will monitor humidity through an app. It will also alert you to your battery strength as well as if there is a bump or an impact event that takes place on the guitar that could damage your guitar. So if you have an expensive instrument, again, it's cheap insurance for peace of mind and care. Now, the other thing that you need to know about is taking care of the body and taking care of the raw exposed wood on your guitar, again, acoustic or electric. So here are some polishes and cleaners. Now, these happen to be from Taylor Guitars. They didn't do this for many, many years, and they recently came out. Now, polish is important to take care of the finish on your instrument. There's lots of different polishes out there. There's lots of different finishes out there. The best polish, like this, should be safe on all of them. It's going to be able to allow you to clean, maintain, and really kind of gloss up the finish on your guitar without having a big buildup take place. And that helps to clean, but also protect the finish that's on your guitar, which is in turn protecting the wood on your guitar. Now, this is actually unique to Taylor. No one else at this point still makes something like this, but this is a satin guitar cleaner. So if you have a guitar that's satin finish, whether it's satin nitro, satin poly, whether it's a Taylor guitar or another guitar, there hasn't been anything on the market previously that allowed you to clean and take care of that satin finish. I think previously the advice was a damp cloth, but this is a fantastic cleaner. It really works well. I use it on my GS Mini and I use it on my Baby Taylor that are both satin finished. Now here's the reason that you want to do this. If you're playing your guitar, it's coming in contact with your body, it's coming in contact with sweat and oils and dirt, and things will build up on the surface of the guitar. If you allow that to happen over time, it's just going to get grody. It's going to look gross. It'll actually inhibit the vibration of the guitar. It could damage the finish depending upon the type of finish that you have on your instrument, particularly if it's nitrocellulose finish. So you want to make sure that you are taking care of it. It doesn't require much. Get yourself a polish cloth, get yourself a bottle of cleaner or polish, and wipe it on and wipe it off based upon the manufacturer's suggested directions. It's really not that difficult. Now, Taylor makes stuff like that. Gibson has these cool little tins that you can buy that has polished cloths and the pumps and polish and cleaners and everything that you need, and things like this, fretboard conditioner. Top tip, buy a different cloth for the fretboard conditioner. Don't use your polish cloth with your fretboard conditioner because this is basically an oil. Now, fretboard conditioner is important. If you have a fretboard that is rosewood or ebony, it's an open pore wood, it's not like maple, it is going to deal with some things. Now, it's typically going to have some kind of sealant from the factory, but to maintain it over time, just a dab will do you, a little bit of fretboard conditioner. You talk about cheap investment. I have a bottle of fretboard conditioner that I've owned probably for 5 years now, and I maintain my guitars regularly, but it doesn't take much, so it lasts you a while. But do use a different cloth. Now, a lot of people will use paper towels. I don't, because paper towels tend to leave lint behind, and then you're putting lint and oil, and it's bad. Try to stay away from that. Finally, this is more to do with electric guitars, but it deals with acoustic guitars as well. Some kind of lubricant for the contact points for your strings goes a long way in protecting the saddle, the nut, and the tuners, and making sure that your guitar also stays in tune. Now this one from D'Addario I own. I keep it in a few different cases of my guitars, particularly my electric guitars that have tremolos in them. And I take it out whenever I'm putting new strings on an acoustic guitar occasionally. It's just a little bit of a lubricant, and it is a little bit, has little applicators inside that help you to apply it. It doesn't take very much, but it's very important. What it does is it allows those nut slots, the areas of the saddle that the strings go over, whether it's like a micarta or tusk saddle on an acoustic guitar or a metal saddle on a Stratocaster or Les Paul, lubricating the string allows it to move smoothly over it. It will prevent the strings from digging in, creating burrs in the saddle, and make sure that it doesn't get caught up when you're tuning it. You know, all of us have probably been there. You tune the guitar up, you go to play, it moves because it was caught, and now you're flat, right? Or you're sharp if you were tuning down, what have you. And so it's a real simple thing when you're dealing with restringing your guitar. Put a little dab there, put a little dab up at the tuners, and you're good to go. All of these things combined help to ensure that you have a great guitar that can last your lifetime. All it takes is that you take care of it. If there's one thing on here to start with the temperature and humidity control things. It's very important. It's very important. Are you listening? It's very important. We get calls all the time. I bought this guitar. I'm in Colorado. I ordered it from California, wherever it got here. 4 weeks later, it cracked. What do I do? Well, you get it fixed and you monitor humidity. Unfortunately, because it's not a defect, it's just really not understanding humidity needs of a solid wood instrument, and it is really important. So make sure that you do that. Make sure that you take care of the body and all those friction points. So that's my advice to you. If you'd like to check out any of these, they are on our website under guitar accessories at alamomusic.com. It's there for you to peruse, order, we can ship it to you, and you can take care of your instrument and make sure it lasts a lifetime. If you're new to our channel, make sure to subscribe. We're trying to get to 100,000. We're almost there. Every single click helps. And like our videos, because that ensures that other people who are like-minded, like you and I, and into guitars, they get these videos recommended to them. It's kind of how YouTube works. If you want to know when we put one out, turn on the notifications by clicking that bell. You know, I really appreciate you guys as part of this guitar community. We're going to keep putting out videos. At the end of the day, you got to take care of your guitar because the very best guitar in the world is the one that you're playing. If you don't take care of it, you can't play it. That's what it's all about. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.